Hello again. I'm back. I'm continuing to talk about the Grand Design books and the material that I got from Shibak, and I explained that in an earlier session. And I'm just taking little bits out of it, little extracts, and chatting about them. And I find that the YouTube is great in this sense that it confines one to not more than 10 minutes, so I can't ramble on and on indefinitely. So what I was thinking about for today was the whole business of being human and being here. If we accept, as I think anybody who might be looking in on this or listening to me might accept, that we're more than the physical bodies that we have, like that we continue on, that we're really spirit beings who happen to be on a human adventure. But then it brings up the question, of course, of why do we have to go through all that? You see, that it's not an easy experience. Okay, I know that in my own lifetime I've met many wonderful people and I've had many joyful moments, but at the same time there has been a pretty constant struggle in a way, you know, dealing with the challenges of life. So, well, my understanding of it and the information I have is that that we all had a fullness of what I might call divine essence, that we're all part of this wonderful thing, whatever we may call it, like call it God, call it unconditional love or whatever, we're all part of it. But that some of us, a very small minority of us indeed, got too big for our boots in a manner of speaking, and we branched off and we lost the whole sense of who we were and what we were. And in the process then we diminished ourselves, if you like, you know, we separated ourselves from that divine essence. And what we're trying to do is to get back to it somehow. And this is how the whole human state came into existence, that it was designed by those who had never lost that sense of themselves, the whole, if you like, the unconditional love, that energy, designed to help us to get back. And it was deliberately designed as a challenge that we would be put up against ourselves, so to speak, and that we'd have to, by being put up against a brick wall, we'd reach more into ourselves and find out our own inner strength, and in order to help us then, that we've had our spirit guides, our guardian angels, to help us to reach that more and more. So it's a strange process in a way. It's hard for us to understand it because the whole thing of having no beginning or no ending is very difficult, I think, to understand. It might be a little bit easier to understand the thing about no ending, but the no beginning, how can one ever understand that really, unless in terms of saying that there's just now, you know, just the present. And the way of creation then, you know, there is a lot of stuff going on at the moment around the notion of a Big Bang, and a lot of research and a lot of money is being spent on all that, but in a way, well, my opinion seems to me that it's all just playing a game, as it were, because the process of a Big Bang, of a beginning, in that sense, apparently is not so. That's not the way it was. So the thing of then being human and having to cope with that and having the help that the help that we have, which is a great thing. It's very consoling to know that we have that help, and that it is somehow or other that we can free ourselves from the thing of having to come back and having to go through the whole physical existence and all the trauma of it over and over and over again. And that if also then in the process we can help others through that particular well, I suppose we can only call it a particular adventure, if you like. The word adventure brings up a lot of the sense of joy, and ideally if we can bring more joy into the whole human adventure, then that's marvellous. So we go on, and we try to make sense of it, and then that's why I stress, and when I say I stress, it's been stressed so much in the material that I got from Shabaka, that it's so important to be open-minded, that we don't get into any sort of a rigid way of thinking, that we free ourselves from that sort of conditioning, that we grow into a rigid framework of rules and regulations and get controlled by them, that somehow we find the freedom from that we can be open to new opinions, new views, new ways of being, and that we don't get into any sort of a heavy judgmental framework of living. And in that way then that we'd be better able, perhaps not alone to enjoy the adventure of being human, but also that we can look forward to continuing the adventure in a way that we can have more and more scope for all the things that we want to do, to enjoy ourselves in ways that we like to do, and so on. So it's for all of us, it's something that I suppose has to come up in some way, that we do inevitably come to the question of who are we, why are we here, what are we doing here, where are we going, all of that, all these questions inevitably come up, and we need to find some form of answers. And unfortunately, well, perhaps not unfortunately, it seems so that there is, I suppose, an answer, or not even an answer, there's an unknowableness about it, there's some things that we don't know and we can't know the answers to, but that brings in a form of trust, the whole business of the no beginning in particular, and how we came in, how the whole process of what we call creation, unconditional love, and all of that, but how an understanding of that, and this is perhaps one of the things that we can look forward to, that we can explore more and more and find out more and more as we go on, that there's no end to it. And this process of discovery, if you like, that there's never a stage where we reach perfection in that sense, because perfection is stagnation. It's there's nothing beyond it, and that wouldn't be very well. It wouldn't be very inspiring that we reach a point where there's nothing else. So on that note, I hope this wasn't too roundabout or heavy, but I just wanted to explore it a little bit with you, and thank you for being so patient with me and for listening. Bye for the present.